Shalom, giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Qadash. Double honors to the apostles, the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations as always to the elect. And I wanted to get into the term beast, all right, dealing in the Holy Scriptures as we know in Revelation, the 13th chapter, John the Revelator, as he writes this vision down, describes a beast, all right, rising out of the sea, all right, in which when you go line upon line, precept upon precept, the sea is synonymous with the people, all right, as human beings are 75 plus percentage of water in their makeup anyway. So the people are likened unto the sea. A beast rising out of the sea is ultimately a rulership, a dominant power in the earth that will be set up, and when that will ultimately rise and rule. Okay, and as you go throughout the word of the Heavenly Father, okay, there are particular nations whom the Heavenly Father has allowed to rule, okay, in the world. As a matter of fact, we can get the book of Daniel. Let's get the book of Daniel real quick, the 4th chapter, and I believe the 12th verse. Okay, it says 17. Yep, 17. Daniel 4 and 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, okay, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and he giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set it over it the basis of men. Okay, so when you read this in the NLT, it says, "For this has been decreed by the messengers. It is commanded by the holy ones, so that everyone may know that the Most High rules over the kingdoms of the world. He gives them to anyone he chooses, even to the lowliest of the people." And the lowliest of the people, okay, is ultimately the Edomites, okay, the seed of the serpent, okay, which was cursed above all cattle on the planet Earth. All right, which the cattle was ultimately speaking of the nations, because the when you go back into the garden real quick, when you go back to the garden in Genesis, the 3rd chapter, you notice it says, "Now the serpent was more subtle than any of the beasts of the field which the Lord God hath made." All right, now the word beast here, all right, the word beast is chaya, living, alive, flowing, okay, living thing, appetite, all right, community. Okay, the root word chaya, to live, to remain alive, to revive, to quicken, to restore to life. So it's dealing with, okay, living things, okay, which ultimately on the planet Earth, you had nations of people, okay, but these nations of people outside of the family of Adam were likened unto beast, because it was Adam who received instruction in the form of the breath of life, and that was passed down, all right, through a union with his wife Eve, all right, came Abel, then eventually Seth, all right, and the sons of God, all right, who were given instruction, all right, on how to rule here on the earth and govern in dominion, being a king and a priest. Okay, but the rest of the nations were likened unto beast, which when you go into the scriptures real quick, let's get the book of Psalm 72, or 73, I believe. Psalm 73 and 22. Okay. Now this is Asaph, okay, which is known as the first recorder of music. Now, this psalm, he's basically given his testimony into, you know, particular internal battles that he's having, and, you know, the you know, how in this earth is hard, you know, dealing with seeing, you know, wicked people prosper, which ultimately we have these same emotions here. Like, damn, when are we gonna win? All right, but right here, you know, he talked about how he had foolish thoughts. And in verse 22, Psalm 73 and 22, he says, so foolish was I, and ignorant I was as a beast before thee. See that? I was as a beast before thee. So when you look into the scriptures, basically, as you read in the NLT, it says, I was so foolish and ignorant, I must have seemed like a senseless animal to you. All right, which animals pretty much, you know, need to be, you know, you need to tame them. Okay, which ultimately that's how you heathen, all right, you're gonna be ultimately contained in the kingdom. All right, and domesticated in righteousness. Okay, that's every knee shall bow to the names of Yahawah and the holy people. Okay, because the you heathen are like beasts, and the Heavenly Father has given the heathen dominions and rulerships in the planet Earth. Okay, another one. Let's see here. Bridle. Yep, this is Psalms 32 and 9. Be ye not as the horse or as the mule, which have no understanding, whose mouth must be held in with the bridle, lest she come near unto thee. All right, meaning don't be a wild like Jake. When you look at our people in the hood, all right, they're likened unto unclean beast. When you look at Jake, who is in this world pretty much following and wandering after the beast, okay, they're becoming as beast. No rule over themselves. They need to be domesticated. They need to be tamed. They need to be stopped. Okay? So a beast in the ancient world, as a matter of fact, brute beast. Okay, this is the book of 2 Peter 2 and 12. And you also see Jude. Okay, you see this term, but these as natural brute beast, made to be taken and destroyed, speak evil of the things that they understand not, and shall utterly perish in their own corruption. Speaking of Jake, who was amongst the church, acting disorderly, they were likened unto brute beast. Okay, all right. To call a man, all right, and put him on a level of an animal means ultimately he's a base, low vibrational, unruly beast. Okay, brute beast was a term put on unruly niggas. So the term beast in the scriptures is synonymous with ultimately not having order, not being, you know, led by the instruction of the Holy Spirit, which that's what all of you heathen really are. And you've been given dominion in the earth. Now, this beast here in Revelation, the 13th chapter, all right, Revelation, the 13th chapter, you see beast, there's a beast that rose out of the sea. Okay, Revelation 13 and 1. And I stood up on the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, The sea is the people. Revelation, the 17th chapter tells you that. Having 7 heads, okay, which is ultimately the 7 foundations, which is ultimately Greeks, the Romans, Germania Major, Germania Minor, the Spanish, the French, the British, okay, and out of the 7th, all right, came the 8th, which is of the 7th, which is America, which that's the revival of Rome, okay, and the 10 horns represent the 10 common markets, the 10 European powerhouses that extends Rome's dominance, which in this time you have the NATO and the EU, okay, which are vassals, subordinate states and countries that give their alliance unto the Roman Empire, America, which make it a beast system. Okay? In 10 crowns, and upon his heads was the names of blasphemy. Okay? Now this beast is ultimately, as you can read here in verse 2, it says, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard. Now, when you go in prophecy, which is very important and dear unto us as Israelites, when you go to Daniel, the 7th chapter, okay, you read about the vision of 4 beasts, okay, which when you read about these 4 beasts, these beasts are world empire, heathen dominations and dominions and rulerships in the earth. Okay, the 4 beasts. Okay, the 4 great beasts that came out of the sea. Yep, verse 3, and the 4 beasts came up from the sea, from the people, diverse from one another. Okay, and the first was like a lion and had eagle's wings, and I beheld the wings of there was plucked. So ultimately, this is speaking of the Assyrian Empire. Okay, the Assyrian Babylonian Empire. Okay, that's the first beast, the Assyrian Babylonian Empire. All right, and when you go to the 5th verse, you have the other. All right, it's like unto a bear that raised itself up on one side. All right, you had the Medes and the Persians. Okay, which ultimately the Persians and the Medes, which ultimately ruled, okay, for some time in the earth. Okay, and then you have what? The leopard. And after this I beheld, and lo, another like a leopard, okay, which are the Greeks, which when you go into the book of Maccabees, okay, the Greeks, okay, are synonymous with the Edomites. So this leopard is speaking of the Greek Empire, and it's likened unto a beast. Okay, which again, when you go into the word, is just living, something living, which human beings on the planet Earth live and fulfill prophecy. So the Lord raised up these particular nations to rule in the planet Earth. Now, as you go here, it says, and I beheld, lo, another like a leopard. That's the Greek Empire. Okay, and the very next one is the 4th beast, which is what? The Roman Empire. Okay? The Roman Empire. So this vision that John the Revelator is seeing in the planet Earth is that beast system. All right, and then he sees it get born back into the earth in end time prophecy. Okay, which that is done in this time through America, all right, NATO and the EU. That's the beast system that rules the earth. That's the beast system that ultimately John the Revelator saw ruling in this vision. Okay, a heathen rulership, which ultimately would usher in the last of the heathen rulership, which would be through Esau, Edom. So Revelation 13:2, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and the feet were as the feet of a bear. That's Russia. And his mouth was the mouth of a lion, and the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority. Okay? And ultimately the Rome was where this beast received its great authority. The Roman Empire is where they really conquered, more land. They really established a dominant empire in the earth like the world had never seen. Okay? Which, as you keep reading, and I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death. All right? And that was the Roman Empire. The Western Roman Empire fell. Okay? And his deadly wound was healed. And all the world wondered after the beast. So what he is seeing is ultimately the Renaissance period. Okay? Because the Western Roman Empire fell. And then through the Renaissance period, the deadly wound was healed. Okay? This is that beast system that John the Revelator is witnessing and writing down for us as a vision. The deadly wound being healed was the Renaissance period. Okay? Which ultimately was prophesied also in the book of Malachi. Okay? In the book of Malachi, the first chapter, in the 3rd verse, it says, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage waste for the dragons of the wilderness. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. All right, we will return and build the desolate places. Now, there were points where Esau was down and out in the scriptures, and he, like the time he uprooted himself from up under the authority of Solomon. All right, there were times where they were down and out and rebuilt, but ultimately the main time, all right, would be through the Roman Empire falling. Okay, and then the rebirth of Rome through what? The Renaissance. Okay, which when you go into Daniel the 7th chapter, as we're reading about this beast system, okay, Daniel the 7th chapter, when you read about this fourth beast, okay, was what? Verse 8 says, and I considered the horns, and there came up among them another little horn, wherefore whom the first 3 were plucked up, which goes into the Revolutionary Wars, the French, the Spanish, the British, all right, and then America. But this other little horn, all right, would pretty much be that fourth beast reborn back into the earth, which the fourth beast, as we read, is Rome. Okay, Rome would ultimately rule in end time prophecy. And we see that all throughout a lot of scriptures that prophesize Esau will rule. Babylon. In Babylon, a brother had a particular picture where he sent a commentary of one of these scholars. And what did he say? He said, Rome and Babylon are pretty much, it linked them somehow, some way. All right. Even somehow it was easy to link that, America, Rome, and Babylon are one, pretty much. Okay. So this other little horn that would just raise up, that would be the system which will rule, and then the Lord would set judgment. Okay. Judgment will be set through that little horn. The revival of Rome. Give me 1 second here. The revival of Rome. Okay. Let's read it again. Malachi 1 and 4. Whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished. Okay. We are impoverished. But we will return and rebuild the desolate places. Thus saith the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord hath indignation forever. So these Edomites would rebuild, which they have rebuilt, all right, since the Renaissance. Rome was reborn into the earth all the way up till now. And we're at the last leg where the Lord is getting ready to throw down. And that's what's prescribed here in Revelation, the 13th chapter. Okay? This beast system, okay, ruling in end time prophecy, which this is a fulfillment of the blessing given to Esau, that he will rule, okay, the fatness of the earth with the sword. Okay, because when you go to Genesis 27, this has to be fulfilled. Genesis 27 and 38. And Esau said unto his father, Thou hast thou but one blessing, my father? Bless me even also, O my father. And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth. Okay? And of the dew of heaven above. And by thy sword shall thou live. And thou shalt serve thy brother, which he did that under David. Okay? But he's going to do that for, under Yahawashi as well. Okay? It says, and it shall come to pass that when thou shalt have the dominion, yet thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. And that happened at the time of King Solomon. And that happened at the time of the Renaissance. Because Jake was ruling during those dark ages, during the Byzantine Empire. And then Esau, okay, the beast, was able to what? Raise up and rule for a little season, which that's his little season from the time of the Renaissance until now, which he's getting ready to be taken down. But it said he would ultimately, this beast Esau, which is definitely likened unto a sexually immoral beast. All right, Paul describes Esau as a beast-like character. Okay? The book of Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12 and 16 in the NLT. Make sure that no one is immoral or godless like Esau, who traded his birthright as the firstborn son for a single meal. Okay, he acted upon instinct. He was beast-like. Now, this beast, the basis of men, okay, is ruling the earth. And in Revelation 13, it says he has the names of blasphemy. So he will be ruling like a beast in the earth. And the people have become beast-like and impulsive and soulless and have no rule over them. All right? This is the system we see being established in the earth. Revelation 13 and 5. And there was given unto him a mouth speaking great things and blasphemies, and the power was given unto him to continue 42 months. Okay, because the end of his reign will ultimately start when we receive the Holy Spirit and stand up on our feet as a great army. All right, 42 months. All right. When you divide it, okay, it's 40 and 2 months. What is it? 3.5 years? Yep, 3.5 years. Or just that 350-year period. All right. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life, okay, entered into them. But ultimately, as he ruled, he will rule with a mouth speaking great things and blaspheme the Heavenly Father. And we see that via his science, via all of the philosophies and godless, all right, science that exalts itself against the Heavenly Father, that says there is no God, that says everything that's before us came, all right, just by out of nothing. No credit is given unto the Most High in this world, man. And you see the results of a system that runs like that. Okay? But it says, and it was given unto him, verse 7, to make war with the saints and to overcome them, and power was given over him to him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. So there you go. This is speaking of Esau, Edom. And he was given that sword to have what? Dominion on the planet Earth. So this beast system we're reading about in Revelation, the 13th chapter, is a fulfillment of the blessing given unto Esau, in which he will rule in end time prophecy through Babylon the Great. Okay? Which is the revival of Rome. Babylon and Rome are tied. Okay? Because Babylon is the revival of Rome, which the Greco-Roman Empire got its gods from ancient Babylon, Sumeria, Egypt, Canaan. Okay? Anyway, as you read down, as John is describing this beast and how it's going to rule and what he's going to do, okay, and how people on the earth will worship this beast, okay, he goes into a very interesting aspect in verse 9. It says, and if any man have an ear, let him hear. Okay? And that's to those who got the Holy Spirit. He that leadeth into captivity, give me 1 second. He that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity, and he that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here's the patient and the faith of the saints. All right? And that's what we're patiently waiting for. Okay? For the Lord to vindicate us, man. And take down you wild beasts from ruling in the earth. And set up a righteous kingdom that's based upon order. Okay? Righteous order, justice is going to be established in the earth. Not just randomness. The heathen have always ruled by their own moral code and by their own laws, okay, which some of them had ancient ways and customs about them that kind of lined up with, some of the customs, because some of these nations are Shemitic, okay, and some of them come out of Abraham too. So you're going to see particular ways of the East line up with the same mindset of the Bible. All right. But the bottom line is they bow to their gods. They don't submit to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So within their culture, you see a lot of beast-like behavior. Okay. Sodomy. Okay. Just complete nonsense, which even amongst the animals, okay, they know not to, but I mean, now we're living in a jacked up society where now you have gay animals. Oh, Lord, save us, man. So he lets us know subtly, like, look, this nigga gonna do all this, but look, he going into captivity. He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword. That sword he was blessed with by Isaac, he's gonna rule with that. That prophecy is gonna be fulfilled, where the Edomites will rule and have us in captivity. Okay, and as he describes the revival of it, of this whole beast system and how it would end, he describes, and I behold another beast, verse 11, coming up out of the earth, and he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. Okay, two horns like a lamb. This is America. The two horns like a lamb is his two authoritative political systems. Okay, the Democratic and the Republican, which in ancient Rome it was the plebeians and the patricians. So what he is showing you is that Greco-Roman system, because it started as a leopard, but its authority came through the fourth beast, okay, which is Rome. So he's now seeing that system reborn into the earth, all right, through the final rulership before the kingdom comes, man. And he's describing what this beast system, all right, which when you look into the world right now, all right, whose policies are dictating where the earth is going, all right, the Babylon through what? The EU and NATO's dominance, which now in these times it's all split and it's all getting ready to fall upon itself. But that has been the power and system that has ruled and dominated in the earth. And John the Revelator saw this very system and wrote of it, and we're living it out and seeing it in our time. The revival of Rome, okay? Which when we read Daniel, that's the system where the Lord sets judgment, okay? And sends his son, the Savior, to deliver us from the grips of death that compass us about in this beast system that he's setting up in the earth, to where ultimately you will be a perpetual slave through surveillance, okay, outwardly and inwardly, okay? A mass enslavement which will be justified by science. And we see that happening here in this time, where the people are getting ready to have to bow to the image, all right, and take the mark, okay? Because when you read Revelation 20, or better yet, we can just get the next chapter here, Revelation 14, the new song says what? Revelation 14:9, and the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast, in this sense, the beast is speaking of Esau, who would have world power and rulership, all right, through Babylon the Great, the NATO and the EU, okay? It says, if any man worship the beast and his image, which ultimately the image is the ways of the system, the idols, okay, the ways of rule, okay, the how sex is treated, the idols that run and govern it, the Senate, okay, the republic, the democracy, that all comes from that Greco-Roman system. And it's reliving itself through America, NATO, and the EU. You have Greek fraternities. You have Israelites off into Greco-Roman culture. You have the Olympics. Okay? You have the inauguration. All right? You have shopping malls. You have cement bridges. All of these things have their root in Rome. Fast food, Rome. Lead in the water, Rome. A devaluing currency, Rome. The denarius was devalued just like the dollar is being devalued. Inflation was in ancient Rome. Corruption was in ancient Rome. Pedophilia went on in ancient Rome. That Greco-Roman system, we are living in it right before our eyes. John basically is seeing this system reborn. But synonymously, you have the elect prophesying against. But as you can see here, there's the beast, there's his image, and there's his mark. Okay? So how do you differentiate? Now, of late, the IUIC now have this spirit on them. Now all of a sudden it's all about prophecy and they want to go into the beast. When for years they've just gave you these vague breakdowns that have never remained consistent. What might we add? They've never remained consistent. Now all of a sudden they're the experts on the beast, and GMS goes to them to learn what the beast is. When we've been going into this year in and year out, speaking this thing into existence as the true prophet should do, warning against the beast, his image, and his mark. Though you got to warn against each of those, and the mark couldn't be something as simple as sin. Okay, and if we want to say that, it's not putting the charagma inside of you. Is not that a sin according to the law? Anyway, the mark is something specific to that beast system, okay, which as we read, okay, as we read, that mark is going to ultimately lock you into his grips. You fully submitted and you worship the beast, and you took his oath in his covenant to be ushered into this new way. One nation under Satan. Okay? So he had two horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon, and he exercises all the power of the first beast before him. Okay? Which is what? Ancient Rome. That's what America is all about. That's what the Renaissance was all about. Reestablishing Rome worldwide. Okay? And when you go into these various different secret systems, a lot of them are rooted and they have Rome in their title. Okay? What's leading this whole climate CO2 climate thing? The Club of Rome, okay, which ultimately took the studies of Malthus, or the Malthusianism theory, and it's in play now today. Rome is ruling, okay, right before your face. The very medical field has the symbol with the staff of Asclepius, which is the rod with the snake. That goes back to Rome. That goes back to Greco-Rome. That was the Greco-Roman god of healing. You see? It's here today, man. And it's all tied to idol worship and weirdoism. So this beast system will rule in end time prophecy, man. This will be this is Babylon the Great. Okay? And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them that dwell therein to worship the first beast whose deadly wound was healed, which is ultimately ancient Rome. And ancient Rome was an idea as well. You cannot be in Rome, but the idea of Rome ruled in these various different areas through the vassals that they had set up, which made it a beast system back then. Okay? So you're worshiping the idols of ancient Rome in that way of rulership and bowing to that authority through this very system, man. Okay? And he doeth great wonders, and maketh fire to come down from heaven on earth in the sight of men, which is his great military. NATO first struck in Bosnia, Kosovo. Eventually you had Nagasaki, Hiroshima, to where this man's military, he was blessed with the sword. And he used his left-handed technology to make a name for himself. Like, wow, this shit is great. And he deceived people by that. And deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles, which he had power to do in the sight of the beast. All of these scientific, all of these universities, to where he's ultimately just forwarding his evil and wickedness, man. The Lord gave him power to do this through the blessing that was given unto Esau. Okay, the final heathen rulership, to where we get delivered, man. All right, verse 15, and he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And that's what we see being set up in the earth now. Okay, ultimately the image of the beast is ultimately as we went into this government, this way of rulership, this way of life, the thought process, romance, okay, Roman numerals, everything links us back to the ancient Rome, the Christmas, okay, Valentine's Day, all of these various different gods and idols, all right, which you're submitting to Satan ultimately, okay. They're ways of healing. If you don't bow to that authority, you're going to be killed, which this word killed, as we always show you, just get it real quick. All right, killed. Let's see here. No, that ain't what I'm looking for. All right, apoctaneo or apoctino. All right, and we're just gonna get the root word, because it deals with death. Because there are gonna be some of us who take deaths, according to Revelation 20, for not worshiping the image, his mark, the beast, his mark, not submitting to Haman, like not bowing to Haman. And we're gonna be in that position here, all right, very soon. Not bowing to the idol as Nebuchadnezzar ordered us to bow to. All right, it says of separation, all right, of local separation, departing, all right, it says of any kind of separation of one thing from another, in which union or fellowship of the two is destroyed. So if you don't bow and come under this new way, this new world, digital ID, okay, CDBC. Now, there's going to be a point where you're going to be able to wiggle around it. You're going to be able to use the digital money and do whatever. But there's going to come a point to where it's going to get more and more strict, to where if you're not going to bow to the image by showing your alliance and taking that mark, all right, you're going to be through. You're going to be separated from being able to eat or provide for yourself or to have access to food. As the system they're going to set up, they're going to have all of the resources hoarded to themselves. So you're going to have to go to them. So John the Revelator saw social distancing. He saw a system being set up in the earth to where you could be separated if you don't give your body over to something, if you don't bow and kiss the knee through whatever mandate or whatever they have, man. All right, and then after he did that, which we see that happening, that would usher him into bringing in the solution to all of the issues on the planet Earth. Okay, and he calls it all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, that no man might buy or sell save he that had a mark or the name of the beast. Okay, which the mark and the name of the beast go hand in hand. How? Because when you put that charagma in you, All right, you are putting his name on you. You are making a covenant. Okay, his name is written on you. Like when a man takes a wife, notice his name is put on her. She takes his last name. All right, she has a surname now. Ultimately, she belongs to someone. Well, ultimately, his name will be on you. You will have then be made in his image. And that's ultimately what he's trying to do with his power, is manipulate creation. And, because Yahawashi is coming to deliver the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay, and everything he's doing is based upon nations. If he's able to change that, okay, through, going into the code and, wiggling around and, messing with the inside of people, messing with the code, he can change the story and manipulate the outcomes so that he can win. But the system he's setting up is the very system we see being set up in our time as this beast system rules, okay? Which ultimately it goes because this mark is an idol, okay? This word mark, let's go to it. Charagma, all right? A stamp, imprinted mark, a mark stamped upon the forehead of the right hand of the badge of the followers of the Antichrist. That's bullshit. Okay? But if you can take it in the spirit, all right? But that's bullshit. Ain't no one Antichrist. It says, a mark branded upon horses, all right? Because that's how he views you, as wild beast. And you will put your brand on your cattle to show what it belonged to. Thing, carved, sculpture, graven, image, adulterous images, man. Which, ultimately, he's going to set up a system to where that barcode system, to where you can swipe something and pretty much everything's on a grid. You can buy, you can sell, or he's going to make the human the barcode. He's going to change humanity and upgrade you into this digital beast system. All right, into where he's God, into where he has control over the body, soul, spirit, everything, man. All right, but he's going to force people into that system through the system of buying and selling, because that's how people support themselves. That's how people are able to provide for themselves. That's how people are able to eat, through what? The system of buying and selling. However, he has a hell of a lot more plans with this. And it's very deceptive, it's wicked, and ultimately it's based on him, enslaving creation perpetually. All right? But at the end of the day, I just wanted to go into that. There's more we can go into, but we're definitely, as the scriptures say, let's get it. The former things. So John saw this. You can't say that John the Revelator didn't see this technology that's being boasted about right now in the earth. You can't tell me that. There's no way. No way. Isaiah 42:9, behold, the former things are come to pass, and new things do I declare before they spring forth. I tell you of them. In the MOTB, the mark of the beast, was foretold, but it was something that would come to pass in the end time. Okay, it's not some old ancient world concept. No, this was something specifically that will come out of this beast system that will be ran by who? Esau, Edom, who would bring the Greco-Roman way of rulership back to the earth globally. All right, but this time through his industrial revolutions. Okay, now he's at a point where that technology he has, he wants to merge it with man so he can get the victory. Okay, so will the Lord allow it? All right, we'll see. And with that, shalom.